Hey y'all, it's your Missniecytv and I'm here to do a review for Divorce Sistas Season 1, Episode 15. The episode picks up where it left off and Geneva's jumping over the couch and she's fighting the girl and William's telling her, calm down, calm down. The girl is like, who's this, who's this? Geneva's like, I'm his wife. So the girl leaves and Geneva and William's fight continues. She starts saying, how could you do this to me in her home? Yes, William was wrong for having that lady in his house, knowing his child sleeps there, but I don't feel like he was wrong for cheating on Geneva. Yes, they're legally married still, but that marriage was over as soon as Geneva stepped out of the marriage and had a baby. Geneva's like, I hate you, and William is like, there it is, you always have hated me. Geneva's like, I want a divorce. William is like, you think? Geneva's like, I'm a lawyer and I'm gonna take you for everything you have. William was like, okay. William hit her with the reverse hold-on card and he's like, wait till I get a DNA test on Anika. And Geneva's like, F you, William. I feel like she would have to wind up paying him based on the lies that she told during the marriage and finding out that the child is not his. Geneva's still hitting on William, and now she's throwing things at him like vases of flowers and all this other stuff, shoes and everything. So he's like, you keep hitting me, I'm gonna show you what hate is. Then she keeps hitting him, and then William turns around and hit her back. And I'm like, William is not wrong for that. But of course Geneva's gonna run with the story of William hit me. Geneva's so in shock that she takes the knife off the table and stabs William in. Geneva has no right to be mad. She stepped outside the marriage and had a baby, and she's still in love with the man that she had the baby with. I think Geneva's more mad at the fact that it was William that cheated on her because she never expected him to do that based on the type of person that he is. She leaves William there, and I'm like, I hope William has an Apple Watch on or something that he could be detected while nobody's in the house, because nobody knows that this. We're at Pastor Jeff and Rashida's asking Jeff how long has this been going on, because he did tell her that he was interested in another woman. He's like, I've already slept with her. It was a year ago. She actually got pregnant twice. Rashida's like, does she go to the church? Jeff is like, yeah, you actually know her. Rashida's over there in her mind trying to figure out who it is, and she's feeling all hurt and stuff, right? Jeff is just adding insult to injury. He's like, I actually got her a ring and I want you to see it. And I'm like, what man in his right mind would tell his wife that he got his mistress a ring and allow them to see it? That's great. But I knew this entire time that Jeff was talking about her. Jeff has made it very clear to multiple people that he doesn't have eyes for anyone else but Rashida. So he goes in his drawer and he pulls out this red wig. Pastor Jeff is like, I was talking about dirty rig, because every time you put this wig on, you turn into a different person. Like, it's like the freak comes out. And Rashida's like, you know what? You was about to get hurt. Rashida, you have nothing to worry about, girl, because that man only has eyes for you and only wants to be with you and loves you and your children so much. Then we see Grayson in the car and he's having a conversation with Francis and he's calling his dad and he's like, he's still not answering. Francis is telling him to calm down. Grayson's like, it's 3 hours away. Francis is like, well, I want to get there safely. Grayson's like, I know she did something though. Francis is like, let's just wait it out. I know he's okay. That's when Grayson gets a call from the police and they basically let him know that Franklin has passed away. And Grayson's like, how did this happen? The officer is like, from a break-in. Grayson automatically says that it was my mom. She didn't do it herself, but she had somebody come do it. He's like, I have the footage and everything. The officer is like, is your mom with you now? Grayson's like, no. Grayson's like, she's staying at the Wallace. She came down here to visit me in college, and I'm in North Carolina. The officer's like, that's good. What I'm gonna need you to do is keep her far away from this if you really think that she did this. So it tells the person of the relative that passed away to go be around the suspect. Make that make sense. I still don't think that Franklin's dead, and I feel like him and Hakeem are working together to work against Naomi, and it's all gonna come out in the end. Over at Tiffany, she gets a call from John, and John's basically wanting to see if she found out about William, and Tiffany's like, that ain't none of my business, they gonna figure it out. John is like, well, can I talk to you for a minute? Tiffany's like, does this have to do with our son? John is like, no. Tiffany is like, the only thing we have to talk about is that alimony check that I give you once a month. Other than that, we have nothing to talk. John is like, speaking of that, I've been seeing all those houses that you've been selling, and I feel like you should pay me more. Tiffany is like, you only feel that way because you saw me out with that guy. John is like, that's not it. John, that's definitely what it is, because when you were talking to William, you was asking him all those questions, but you claim that you don't care. For somebody that doesn't care about a person, they don't even ask him. Tiffany's like, you can try to send me to court though, because I'm going to hire him and he's going to take you for everything that you have. And the only way that I got to pay him is through getting down. Just by me doing that, it will ensure that he takes you for everything that you have. But just know that he touches me in places that you never could. Tiffany continues to cuss John out and she tells him to never call her phone again. When I tell you Tiffany ate down and she read that man for Phil, I was so glad for Tiffany, because Tiffany doesn't seem like she has a backbone and she's very naive to things. But when it comes to John, she chews him right on up. We see Grayson go confront Naomi, and he's basically telling her that Franklin's dead, and Naomi's like, he's dead for real? Grayson's like, I know you did something. Naomi's like, no, I didn't. Grayson's like, you don't seem too upset, though. Naomi's like, I'm not. Grayson's like, you're sick. Naomi's like, I'm actually pretty well. Grayson's like, you're sick in the head. Naomi basically, in so many words, says, after everything that we've been through together and everything that you put you through as a child, you should be happy that he's gone. Grayson's like, what are you talking about? The SBS. Naomi's like, I actually caught him, but you were too young to remember. Grayson basically tells her that it was wrong for her to put all her emotional baggage on him. Naomi's like, we were in this together. No, Naomi. As a parent, you shouldn't be placing your emotional baggage on your children. I feel like she expected him to carry that emotional baggage and always be there to empathize and sympathize with her. No. As a parent, you should never place your emotional baggage on a child and expect for them to carry it, as well as all the stuff that they're carrying as children as well. He tells Grayson that he should also be happy because he's rich now, because he's going to be the sole heir of everything that Franklin has. When Frances steps in, she's like, do you know that he's in therapy because he cries for you and feels sad for you and wants you to do better, and he just really loves you and cares about you. Naomi's not listening to a word that she's saying because she's white, and she has a disdain for all white people because of what Franklin did to her with Lindsay. But she really needs to take heed of everything that Frances is saying. Once Grayson and Frances leave, Hakeem calls Naomi and basically asks her if she got the money. Naomi's like, I'll give you the money tomorrow when I come into town. Hakeem is like, you better have my money. Naomi's like, well, let's meet for breakfast. Hakeem says, what time? Naomi's like, just know that I'll be there with your money. Naomi, all I know is that you better have this man money because I don't think he's playing with you either. So when she gets off the phone with Hakeem, she starts dancing and celebrating. I'm like, Naomi, there's something really wrong with you. Over at Bridget's, we see Bridget about to leave for work, and that's when she gets a call from Tiffany, and Tiffany's basically telling her everything that's going on with Geneva and Rashida and how they're both acting weird. She asks Bridget to breakfast so that they can talk about everything that's going on with Rashida and Geneva and how they're acting weird and Javon and everything, right? And as soon as she's about to head out to get in her car, she notices that her car's been vandalized, and the only person that can do it is Calvin's wife. So, of course, she approaches her, says all these things like, how long have you been sleeping with my husband? Bridget's like, I'm not even sleeping with your husband. Calvin comes up and he's trying to calm the lady down, but the lady's not trying to hear anything that he has to say. So, of course, he runs after Bridget, tries to talk to her. He basically tells her not to call the police because he was a police officer and that can get him in trouble. And the lady's out here lying and everything. Then he's like, I'll take care of your car. You can actually take my car if you need to. Bridget's like, no, I'm not getting your car so it could blow up on me. I think Calvin's wife is past the point of crazy that even if he did tell her the truth, she's still going to make up what she wants to believe and go with it. Once Calvin and his wife leave, Bridget calls Tiffany and she basically lets her know that she's going to need to be picked up. Tiffany's like, car trouble. Bridget's like, you don't even know that. You'll see when you get here. Back over at Pastor Jeff and Rashida's, Kelly comes into the room because Kelly thinks that Pastor Jeff is sleeping with somebody else. Pastor Jeff is like, be quiet, she's asleep. Kelly's like, I won't be quiet, you're cheating on my mom. Kelly starts yelling at Rashida until Rashida turns around and she's like, it's me. Kelly's like, oh my god, I can't undo this is gross. Once Kelly leaves the room, Rashida's like, why'd you let me sleep so long? Pastor Jeff is like, cause Dirty Red put it on me. And Rashida's like, well, if that's the case, let me get a kiss then. Pastor Jeff is like, well, you consult with your toothbrush first and we'll talk. Pastor Jeff tells Rashida that she makes him so happy, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad to see that Rashida and Pastor Jeff are in a good place, because at the beginning of the season, I couldn't stand Pastor Jeff. As Tiffany's on her way to Bridget's, she calls Javon and she basically lets him know everything that happened with John and how John wants to sue her. And Javon's basically like, let me take care of it, just send me the information. Tiffany's like, thank you, you make me so happy. Javon is like, you haven't seen nothing yet, girl. Javon is really starting to fall for Tiffany, and I'm not even mad about it. Tiffany finally makes it to Bridget's house, and when she picks up Bridget, Tiffany's like, what happened to your car? Bridget's like, just drive. So some time passes, and they finally make it to the diner, and they're sitting down and they're having a conversation. Tiffany's telling her everything that's going on with Geneva and Rashida, and how Rashida's acting weird, and how Javon is basically saying that Geneva's jealous, but Tiffany doesn't believe. Geneva's definitely jealous of you, Tiffany, because she's still in love with Javon. Not only that, you're sleeping with her child. So Bridget's like, she can't be jealous, she's happy with William. And then Tiffany's like, if you say so. Then she's like, let's move on to John. And that's when she tells Bridget that John saw William leave with a hooker. Tiffany is like, I don't believe it though because it's William. And I'm like, Tiffany, you better believe it because you don't know what people will do when they're mad and they're out of their mind. Bridget's like, something doesn't sit right with my spirit. We should just have a conversation. And Tiffany's like, can you set that up? Bridget's like, I'll see what I can do. So Bridget leaves the diner, and as Rashida's heading to the church, she tries to call Geneva to check on her, but Geneva's not answering. So she calls William. I'm like, William's not going to answer because he's probably still on the floor bleeding out if he haven't already bled out already. I'm like, so nobody knows that this happened? There's no neighbors around that heard this altercation or anything? So once Geneva tries to call William and he doesn't answer, she basically lets him know that Geneva's not answering her phone and William is not answering either. But she's just like, I'll go there after church to check on him. Pastor Jeff is like, I'll go there before church. And I'm like, when y'all get there, y'all gonna see William laying on the ground. Then they talk about the situation with Kelly and how Kelly's probably traumatized. And Pastor Jeff is like, well, more awkward things happened. Then they tell each other that they love each other and then they hang up the phone. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. This is where I kind of think Rashida overstepped. She calls Javon and she basically lets him know that she wants to have a conversation with him. The only conversation that you need to be setting up is between Tiffany, Javon, and Geneva. It's time for Tiffany to learn the truth because I'm tired of her walking around here like an airhead like she don't know what's going on. Some time passes and Bridget finally makes it to the church and she sees Myron laying out on 2 chairs. She's like, I guess things at home didn't go too well. And Myron's like, yeah. She's like, I think you should talk to the pastor. Myron's like, you know I can't do that. Bridget's like, well, my bad. He's like, I had a bad night myself. And Myron's like, let me guess, Calvin's wife? Bridget's like, how you know about that? Myron's like, because she called me about 5 times asking, how long have y'all been sleeping together? And Bridget's like, he's like, you might want to check the church website. She's been leaving messages on there. I tried to block all the accounts, but there's too many to block. Bridget's like, I don't even want or like this man, so I don't even know why she's doing all this. And that's when Rashida comes in and she's like, Bridget, can I have a conversation with you? Bridget's like, yeah, sure. And then Rashida speaks to Myron and Myron speaks back. So they go into Rashida's office and the first thing that Bridget says is like, I don't have nothing to do with that. Rashida's like, what are you talking about? So Bridget explains the whole thing with Calvin and the wife. How Calvin's wife is leaving messages on the church website and Myron tried to block them. Rashida's like, don't worry about that. Bridget's like, why are you so happy? Rashida's like, because I had a good night. Bridget's like, oh, so Pastor Jeff been doing his thing, huh? She's like, I'm just so happy that we're in a good place. It seems like we had a breakthrough. Bridget's like, Rashid's like, why does Calvin's wife think that y'all have an affair anyway? So Bridget goes into the story about how Calvin's wife followed Calvin to Bridget's house after him picking up the key. Bridget tells Rashida about Calvin's wife vandalizing the car and how she didn't call the police because Calvin's a police officer and he couldn't get in trouble. And the only reason she didn't do it is because he dropped charges against Vaughn. And Rashida's like, so about Vaughn? Bridget's like, that's over too. And they start talking about William and the whole possibility of him having a hooker in the house. And Rashida's like, I don't know what that's about, but keep my schedule open because I'm supposed to have a conversation with Javon later. Bridget's like, Javon? Rashida's like, yeah. Then they start talking about Tiffany and the whole Geneva thing and how there's supposed to be a meetup and Geneva's not answering the phone. Bridget's like, so you gonna tell me what's going on? Rashida's like, find you some business. Bridget's like, I will, but you know I'll find out. Rashida's like, I definitely know you will. And we see Javon call Tiffany. He's basically telling her that he wants to see her tonight. And Tiffany's reluctant and she's like, I told you I wanted some space. Javon is like, I know that, but I bet you. Tiffany's like, you just seen me hours ago. After some reluctancy, Tiffany agrees to hang out with him as long as they don't get down to business. And Javon is like, okay. Then Javon tells Tiffany that he's meeting with Rashida at the church to have a conversation. And Tiffany's like, I wonder what that's about. Javon is like, don't worry about it. I'll tell you what it's about after I have the conversation and come see you. Over at the church, Myron is outside because he just got his lunch. And when he's going back into the church, he notices Geneva. And she's in there crying. So he runs up to the car. He asked her if she's okay. Clearly she's not okay, so I don't even know why he asked her that. She's like, I need Rashida, go get her now. So Myron goes inside the church. He tells Rashida that Geneva's outside crying in her car and she needs to see you. So they both run out to the car. Geneva's in there smoking a cigarette. And Rashida's like, Geneva, are you hurt? He tells Bridget to call an ambulance because Bridget ran out there too. And Geneva's like, don't call them. Then Rashida's like, what happened? Geneva's like, he hit me. And I'm like, girl, you hit him first after throwing all that stuff at him. And he decided that he couldn't take it anymore, so he hit you. But you're not going to tell that part. She's like, I caught him in the house with a hooker and they were getting down to business, right? And Bridget's like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. So Geneva's like, I stabbed him. Rashida's like, is he okay? Geneva's like, I don't know, because I left. Now, I wonder how all this is going to play out, because Javon's supposed to be coming to the church to talk to Rashida, and Geneva is going through a crisis at the church. So this is not going to end well. But I hope William will be okay. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, turn on your bell notifications.